Polish soldiers are killing Ukrainian soldiers, while Finland wants to end sanctions against Russia and the European Union is building an anti-American army. The Russian fake factory is working overtime to drive a wedge between Ukraine and the EU. But this is StopFake, the place where we've been debunking this kind of Russian disinformation for 5 years now. So let's get to it. Scores of Russian and Ukrainian sites featured stories this week claiming that a Polish soldier had shot and killed a Ukrainian serviceman during military exercises near the western Ukrainian city of Lviv. These reports cited the local police as their source, but the Lviv Regional Police Department said such an incident had never happened, and the Police Communications Department had not disseminated this information. This fake was first published by the Ukrainian site Vesti, which claimed that the body of a man with gunshot wounds was found in a village outside of Lviv. He was identified as a serviceman from Ukraine's National Academy of Ground Forces, and a Polish soldier is suspected of his murder. Scores of Russian and Ukrainian sites quickly spread this fake, not bothering to check anything. According to the Lviv Regional Police, not only is this story a complete fabrication, but the screenshots allegedly taken from the Lviv Police official website were also fake. One of the pictures used is actually a photograph from a story in 2018 about a murder in Odessa. The Lviv newspaper Ratusha also featured this fake story, but they say they did not jump on the disinformation bandwagon, but were actually hacked. In a statement on their Facebook page, the editors say they never published the story. The site is currently down as the security of the publication is being checked and upgraded. Russian media triumphantly reported last week that Finnish President Sauli Niinisto declared Western sanctions against Russia to be ineffective and opposed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's call to prolong them. Russian-language RT, TASS, Rossiyskaya Gazeta, and other Russian publications regularly claim that Western countries are increasingly calling to lift sanctions against Russia because they incur large financial losses, and if you believe Russian media, the current Finnish leadership supports this point of view. But again, these claims are fake, and Russian media took President Niinisto's words completely out of context. The Finnish president was speaking at the Yalta European Strategy Conference held in Kiev earlier this month. He addressed the conference after Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky gave his speech in which he called on European partners to maintain sanctions against Russia until Moscow ends its aggression against Ukraine. In his speech, Finnish President Sauli Niinisto addressed the security challenges facing the international community, including confrontations between states. The discussion touched upon sanctions after the moderator of the session asked the Finnish president if Russia could be pressed to participate in dialogue and international cooperation. Let's listen to the video of what Niinisto actually said.
Well, this is an issue we have been talking at least since Crimea. There were voices saying that, after sanctions, the Russian economy will collapse and they will crawl back. That hasn't happened. And I'm afraid it doesn't happen in the nearby future. What we have to try to do, we have a living example here when the presidents Putin and Zelensky have been able to agree on changing the prisoners. It's a minor step, and maybe it doesn't lead to anything, but nevertheless, it's a step. And we need little things to build up greater.
According to one of Finland's largest publications, Ilta-Sanomat, President Niinisto was clearly surprised by Moscow's interpretation of his speech at the conference and stressed that his country would support Russian sanctions in the future. The latest European Court of Auditors defense report examines the possibilities of a new collective EU defense system, but Russian media declare that the European Union is considering creating its own army in order to counter the United States. The Russian-language RT edition wrote that the new initiative is anti-American in nature, and the proposed unified military union is aimed at protecting the EU against America. Russian analysts quoted in the publications claim the European Union sees the United States as a threat, and an EU army is a reasonable initiative because threats can come from anywhere. But the defense report never states that the EU is preparing to counter U.S. aggression with a unified army. This is an absolute fake, as the first paragraph of the report states that Russian aggression against Ukraine is the impetus for further developing the EU's defense sector. The report states that, quote, recent international developments have led European leaders to reconsider defense as a key policy area in line with European citizens' growing security expectations. In recent years, Russia's annexation of Crimea, the evolving transatlantic relationship, the intensification and diversification of security threats, and the return of great power competition have given EU defense cooperation new momentum. Now, the report also states that prior to the onset of Russian aggression in Ukraine, EU collective defense expenditures decreased annually, and the urge to expand defense financing is a new development. The report points out that the European Commission has allocated 22.5 billion euros for European defense for the 2017 through 2021 period. If you compare that with the 2.8 billion that was allocated for 2014 through 2020, it shows clearly that defense will play a more prominent role in the future. The authors of the report are skeptical about the formation of a unified army because such an army would be duplicating NATO and because different countries have different military priorities. But to avoid inefficient use of the taxpayers' money, the report points out that it is worth asking whether a new EU army would be able to complement NATO and avoid duplication and overlapping functions with it. Johan Parts, the member of the European Court of Auditors responsible for the review, said, quote, defense involves creating real military capabilities with a clear potential to deter potential threats. In the absence of critical success factors and without specifying clear goals, there is a risk that current EU defense initiatives remain a dead letter and end up with no outcome. So much for Russia's anti-American EU army. That's it for this week. You can find much more dissected disinformation on our website, StopFake.org. And if you like our digest, share it and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring the bell to get notified. As always, be vigilant, look out for fakes, and if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.